With the conclusion of Bum's Birthday Bash, the topic of Lab Coat 21 in Dragon Ball FighterZ is once again picking up a lot of steam, particularly with Sonic Fox tweeting out a poll asking the community that follows their Twitter account to vote on whether or not Lab Coat 21 should be a character that is banned, as they, as well as Wawa, think that the character is way too strong and broken because of the debuff super that she has, called Photon Pulse, and how it's negatively impacting the game. Now, they've thrown around the ideas of either banning the character or banning use of the move itself, but I don't really think that's going to be the solution overall, because ultimately we all have to agree on this one, and if just one TO or region or anything like that disagrees with it and allows it to rock, it's only going to hurt cross-state competitions when we get together at the majors that are returning this year. So I don't really think it's going to be the approach to dealing with this one. I do see the merit in having this discussion, though, because currently we don't have any confirmation from Arc System Works or Bandai Namco about the future support for this game. We don't know if there's going to be another patch like we did with when GT Goku was first released back in Season 2 and when he was a must-pick character. But the fact that we knew that there was going to be a patch and eventually he would be nerfed kind of like allowed us to say, all right, for the time being, we're going to deal with this. We don't have that same light at the tunnel with Labco 21 right now because Bandai Namco and Arc System Works have been completely quiet ever since the cancellation of the End of the World Tour a couple months back. With that, we generally don't know if the game is going to have another balance patch to bring 21 more in line for something that's healthier for the game overall. We could be stuck with this version of the game for the rest of the game's lifespan. We simply don't know, and I think that we do need to get Bandai Namco and or Arc System Works to break the silence on this and give us some confirmation, or at the very least reach out and get enough support for them to do something about the situation in the game. I think that's the best case to go for. So, in light of that one, I'm going to recontextualize this video, which is where I explore Photon Pulse as a move, what makes it strong, why it's unhealthy for the game, and present it as a succinct argument in order to try and give a direction for how the move should be adjusted, in my opinion. Hello friends, family, brothers, sisters, and siblings, CD Mangaka here, and today I want to make a video discussing the newest character that's been added to Dragon Ball FighterZ to quite a bit of controversy, Android 21 Lab Coat, who I'm just going to refer to as Android 21. For the remainder of the video, any references to her original form that we've been playing since release, I'm going to call her Majin 21, just going to clarify that out of the way. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of people think that she is going to be the must-play character of the current patch of the game, because she has a very strong and, in my opinion, overtuned part of her kit, which we're going to explore in detail here, because in order to understand just how good this part of her kit is, we kind of need to understand this part of her kit as a whole. Without further ado, let's discuss her command throw super. The command throw is called Photon Pulse, and it is a super command throw, so it costs a bar to use, and the inputs for it are 2, 3, 6 with the super dash macro, or medium and heavy. You'll see a couple things about this command throw from the frame data that we have here. For starters, it's quite fast at 21 frames of startup. This is considered almost unreactable in Dragon Ball FighterZ, but it's on the cusp of it. For context's sake, this is about 2 frames slower than Dragon Rush, the universal throw that's in the game. Additionally, you also see that she's plus 27 after a successful hit on it, and we'll get into that one a bit later. While Photon Pulse does have a fast startup, she can also throw into it from any of her normals without having to stagger. It does cause the move to hit a little bit later due to the throw protection frames. This could potentially mean that you have a couple of extra frames in order to react to it. The latest the throw hits is at frame 24. Some normals have it hit at frame 22 or 23, and it's also spacing dependent. This is just something to denote. Another property this move has is that it's actually a 4-frame invincible move, meaning that after frame 4, it's fully invincible to about frame 27 for this move's case. This means that she can use it as a reversal option in a lot of common situations where she's only plus or minus a couple of frames, or in a completely neutral situation, such as after a 6M. This is important because of what the grab and landing the grab leads to, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. Because its iframes are 4-frame startup, it does lose to meaties. This is important to know just because it's not a true DP. If you're applying meaty pressure to her, or even frame trapping with less than 4-frame gaps to it, she can't use this move to bust out and punish you for it. Because the command throw has iframes, in some of these situations that I mentioned earlier, she can go for this option while also coming out level 3 reversals or dragon punches. Some Dragon Punches launch the characters airborne and they actually avoid being command thrown. However, because she has such fast recovery upon whiffing this throw, she's actually able to recover and still punish. That was me moving as soon as I can. There's definitely more optimal things that you can do there, including getting a medium starter. All these examples demonstrated are regarding situations where Android 21 is either at a slight advantage, disadvantage, or completely even with you, namely after a plus on block move, vanish, or block 6M. However, when she's trying to apply the command throw to you through her block strings, the interaction is far more normal to what we see in the game, where Dragon Punches actually usually beat this clean. This also includes level 3 reversals. There are some exceptions to this, however, so be sure that you lab your character in the matchup. Before we deep dive into the feature that makes this a broken move, we need to discuss one more thing that helps implicate its brokenness, and that's going to be the fact that she can combo into it anywhere on screen. This, along with a couple other features that I mentioned before, help tie this all together into a meta-defining package. So what's the deal with Photon Pulse? Well, for starters, when she lands a successful one on any of your characters, she permanently buffs herself to increase all of her special move damage by 21%. Check out the values in the corner of the screen. 900. 1089 post buff. That feature is all well and good, but what really makes it the broken move is the fact that it also applies a permanent 21% damage debuff to the character that's hit by it. Compare the damage to Gogeta's 5H here. 1000 damage before the nerf. 790 damage after the nerf. This applies to all normal moves, special moves, and even supers. There's no limit to how many times that she can apply this to. Well, I guess there is a limit, and that's the number of characters that you have on your team. Most 5Hs in the game do about 1000 damage, so as you can see here with base Goku, he's also affected by the 21% damage nerf, and Gogeta is still as well. Just demonstrating this in case people don't know about it. Just to give a full demonstration of when I say that this is permanent, I mean it's absolutely permanent for the rest of that game. In the most extreme example, if you lose a character that's been debuffed in a match and are then able to revive them by summoning Shenron, they're still affected by the debuff. $790 damage, still 21% debuffed. Any debuff in a game is going to be strong to it, or at the very least have some impact on the match. The fact that this exists in Dragon Ball FighterZ in its current state, where it is both a strong buff as well as easy to apply, means that this is going to be defining the meta for the next couple of months to come, if not even longer, depending on if Arc System Works or Bandai Namco has any plans to actually balance the game after this. So we gotta go over a couple of situations and how like the high-level flowchart for Android 21 is going to look with this tool in our arsenal. For starters, we need to discuss two-touching in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Two-touching is the ability for your point character to kill the enemy character with only 2 combos, usually off of light starters for both of them. This is the absolute highest optimality and like a competitive standard that the game adheres to. Labco 21 can apply this debuff to you while keeping to that standard. This has a lot of high-level implications, and you might have also noticed something about that sequence I just showcased here, and that's the fact that after this command throw super, she gets a Okizeme off of it in the corner. If you recall earlier, I said that she was about plus 27 or plus 28 after this command throw. She's able to do an IAD overhead JH to actually keep Okizeme going. This particular safe jump is actually meaty as well. Check out the reaction when I have the bot set here to 2H. You get counter hit. As if that wasn't enough, she's actually also able to chase up techs with this exact same setup due to the amazing vertical range of her jump heavy. I try to input an up tech backdash right there, trying to get my height to go above this move, and it doesn't work out. She's able to cover multiple tech options with this one setup. Because the knockdown from Photon Pulse is actually a soft knockdown, there's one extra thing that you can do about this, and that is delay your tech initially, but then actually continue to up tech still. This does mean that you can create another scramble situation that has to keep the Android 21 player on her toes. This isn't a get out of jail free card because she can just look for your tech after she sees that you're delaying and then chase it down, but it's still a useful tool in your arsenal to consider. As I mentioned earlier, I think the aspect of this kit that helps push this part of it into broken territory is the fact that you can combo into Photon Pulse anywhere on screen. In fact, she doesn't even need to be the point character. With a new Z-tag mechanic that got added into the game recently, this actually makes it incredibly easy for you to start with any character in the game and then tag into her to apply a debuff anywhere on screen. In this example, she does give up Okizeme in mid-screen to do this one. However, this is just a mid-screen example, and it's debatable whether or not if keeping the Okizeme in mid-screen knockdown is worth it when you could just apply a permanent debuff to the enemy character. As if that wasn't enough, there's actually an ultimate Z-change setup that you can do to give her this setup, comboing off of her own super. How it basically works is that you get a slide knockdown near the corner. This can be any sort of slide knockdown. You then ultimate Z change into her to go into her total detonation ball. Then you combo after that super into her OTG SOMP, the 2-2 light, medium, or EX input. Light will work here, just missing all of these out. And then you can combo into Photon Pulse from that. Here's an example demonstrated without any sort of prerequisite resources other than both of your assists up. Again, keep in mind that this was purely self-sustaining, as well as the fact that she keeps Oki in pressure after this sequence. Although, meanwhile, your character is permanently debuffed. As I mentioned before, any slide knockdown near the corner allows you to do this setup, where regardless whether it's a Dragon Rush slide knockdown, a JH slide knockdown, a special move slide knockdown, even super slide knockdowns. This is important to know because this allows you to actually go into the debuff sequence without having her assist up and available for her to tag into. You can use this assist either in neutral to get the straight hit and then convert into this, or use it to extend combos and add further damage and meter build. I think with all these examples, we can begin to understand how disproportionate the reward that she gets for applying this debuff to your character is with how easy it is to go into. She doesn't even need to be on point for this to happen. She can just be in the back, wait for you to get 2 bars, come in as an ultimate Z change to set it up herself, or she can be tagged in at a point of a combo to do it for a single bar. If she does it near the corner, she's able to keep Okizeme and therefore keep pressuring you, putting you into 2-touch situations where if you successfully block it, congratulations, your character is still debuffed and you have to fight with that handicap for the rest of the match, or you die and then you're just still losing the game anyway. To be clear about something, I think it's really cool that Arc System Works and Bandai Namco have added a character with this unique identity into the game. I just think that this part of her kit is specifically overtuned at the moment. Without this part of her kit, she's definitely a high-tier character that is quite strong and would be appreciated on a couple of teams, but with the debuff being as splashable, easy, and universal as it is to do, this becomes something that defines the meta, and I think that a lot of competitive players are going to use in order to try and improve their chances of winning at any cost, which is not something I'm going to fault them for. If you're going to play this game competitively, you should give yourself every possible advantage that you can. For the health of the game overall, it's quite unhealthy for everybody to be picking up the same character in a team-based game to exploit something about that character's kit that is clearly overtuned. So with this being my case, I think that this part of her kit needs to be nerfed in some way. I don't want it to be entirely gutted because I think that applying a debuff to characters is a super cool concept in and of itself. However, I think that the way it's implemented right now is just unhealthy and a tad too strong. What are some ways that we can go about nerfing this move while preserving its debuffing identity, thus incentivizing Android 21 players to continue to use Photon Pulse? I think the easiest thing to do is just remove her ability to combo into it at all. This would change your game plan flow from tagging her in to apply this debuff off of any hit to bringing her up front to try and then mix her character with this very strong strike throw mix that she has in the game. I think that this sequence overall is much healthier for the game as a whole. It still gives her a very strong debuff, but it locks it behind her being on point, forcing you to block and getting hit by it. It would also double as a strong reversal option in some situations in the game, meaning that you have to respect the threat of this move in those situations in particular. Considering that she doesn't have a Dragon Punch, I think that's completely fair. A possible change that I'm particularly fond of is moving the debuff portion of Photon Pulse onto her level 3. For starters, the animation isn't too far-fetched to imply that she's applying a debuff to your character, so I think that visually speaking, it would fit right in. Secondly, this would completely rework how a Android 21 player manages their resources. Instead of only needing a bar and then tagging her in to apply a debuff to a character of choice, they'd have to save up to then apply this debuff to it. All the while deciding if they want to spend 3 bars on going for this level 3 to apply that debuff, all the while having not the greatest of mix-up options from it, but still good pressure afterwards, or instead spending that level 3 on another super that has better Okizeme, like her Majin 21 counterpart. Ultimately, though, I don't know if this is the way that it should be taken. However, it's a way that I think is quite interesting, and that could potentially work out. However, another downside of this, or another thing to consider, is that you'd also have to rework how her Photon Pulse will work with regards to giving her special moves buffs, because the whole appeal of using this Photon Pulse multiple times in a match is that it has multiple uses, one for each character that you have and applying the debuff to them. If she only has to buff herself one time fully, after you use the command throw once, there's not really a reason to use it again outside of like an expensive mix-up tool. Another potential way to make it so that there's some counterplay to this is to keep everything the same, except make it so that if you kill a character on Labcoat 21's team, or even Labcoat herself, that the debuff goes away. I'm also quite okay with this decision as well, just because it does mean that if you are able to make a comeback through this debuff, you get rewarded for it by getting your team's full power back. Now, I think if it's going to be a case where if you can kill any character on Labcoat 21's team to remove the debuff, the character that is debuffed should be on point and get the kill themselves in order to make that happen. That might be a little too finicky, especially with like high levels Dragon Ball FighterZ play revolving a lot around swapping characters out. So I do also like the idea of making it so that if you kill Android 21, then the debuff gets removed, period, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. It will create a unique situation where people will keep her in the back more and even tag her out and play more of a defend the castle kind of play style, which I think would lead to some interesting strategic decisions from the players' parts. It's another decision to change the move that I would personally be okay with. Keep in mind that all the ideas that I mentioned so far are ways to make it so that the debuff is as strong as it is without having to nerf the numbers on it, making it so that the Photon Pulse still has multiple uses within a match, as well as keeping to this identity that Android 21 has for herself. Again, I think the biggest issue with this is just the fact that she can combo into it from pretty much anything, whether or not that she has her assist up or she has 2 bars. There's a lot of ways for her to do it, and a lot of pro players are going to gravitate their gameplay flowcharts to making sure that they apply this debuff to you because it is so strong and there currently is no counterplay to that. The only counterplay that currently exists right now in the game is don't get hit at all by the enemy player, and that simply isn't feasible. One final potential nerf to Photon Pulse that I like, that I think is thematically appropriate for Android 21 Labcoat, is a duration timer on this move. Make the debuff last for 21 seconds. That way, when your character is debuffed, you can swap that character out and have them heal from the time while they're regaining blue life, and so then you're not being punished for shuffling around your team and risking another character getting permanently debuffed as you do this. I think that this is probably the easiest way of changing the move so that there's going to be active counterplay to it. You can slow play, for example, wait until you get like a better hit on the opponent. You can swap characters out, have a healthier one fight while the debuff character is able to recover from the debuff off screen, and then that will just make the game a lot more enjoyable, and I think it opens up a lot of interesting strategies for teams to approach. So if you didn't like any of the other changes, I think that's another particularly good change that could be done with the move. But let me know what your favorite changes in the comment section down below. And again, my friends, I think that at this point, with just how active the community is in this game and how just passionate it is with us having a major level event at Bum's Birthday Bash this past week as of the recording of this video, I think that there's a lot of room for this game to still keep going strong, still plenty of new people to step on in, but I know a lot of people don't really like where the game is headed right now just due to how unfun it is to fight against Android 21 lab coat, and especially to fight hundreds of them potentially in any sort of bracket that they go into just because of how strong this part of her kit is. I think for the health of the community in the game, it's important that we have this part of her kit be adjusted so that there's more counterplay to it, or that it's harder to go into, or any sort of number of things. So Bandai Namco and Arc System Works, if you somehow see this video, please listen to us and give us some feedback. Are you still planning to patch the game? Are we going to be stuck with this version of Android 21 lab coat forever? We really would like a few adjustments to get the game into a healthier spot so that more people can continue to enjoy this game and not feel frustrated playing it. That's pretty much the earnest plea that we have at the moment. I still plan on playing this game regardless because I like this game a lot. I would love it to be in a state where more people could enjoy it too, and I see that Android 21 being the state that she is in is a big turnoff, especially when there's silence on the issue right now and we simply don't know what the future of Dragon Ball FighterZ as a whole has. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure that you share it around when you tweet at Arc System Works and Bandai Namco to try and get a response about the future Dragon Ball FighterZ and to see if we have to take matters in our own hands. See you, Mangaka. Take care of yourselves.